Hey, what's going on, guys? Thrash back here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a new video here in NHL 21, where I'm going to be going through all of the Alumni Association and taking a look at their ratings. Guys, the face cam is off for this video. I'm just going to go through each team individually. We'll take a look at everyone. You can see all your favorite players and whatnot, their overalls, and then we'll move on to the next video. There's some really cool players in here. I want to know down below if your favorite player made it in. We got Gary Volk here, Stu Grimson, Todd Marchant, Jim Cummins, Brian Bellows, Adam Oates, we got Nicholas Hagman. Head over to the defense here, and we got Scott Niedermeyer, Chris Pronger, Dmitry Mironov, Keith Carney, Brian Allen, and Frederick Olofsson. For goalies, we're going to have J.S. Jaguar, Guy Hebert, and scratched, something I forgot to do last year, and I'm sorry, we got Jarkko Ruutu, Mike Sillinger, Ken Baumgartner, Kevin Haller, Brad May, Stefan LeBeau, and Sean Pronger. Now, I'm going to do this individually for each team. I don't want to spend too much time on each player and whatnot, because this is going to be a 45-minute video if I do. So, we'll go through it, we'll enjoy ourselves, and we'll take a look at all the players here in NHL 21's Alumni section. We got Keith Tkachuk, Jeremy Roenick, Shane Doan, Mike Gartner, Michael Handzus, we got Owen Nolan, Paul Bijanet, you love to see it. We got Danny Briere, Mike Johnson, George Larocque, we got Vern Fiddler, boo, Claude Lemieux, we got Jyrki Lumi, Teppo Numminen, Adrian Aucoin, Stanislav Nekar, Keith Carney, and Cale Hulse. In net, we got Cujo and Sean Burke, and scratched for the Arizona Coyotes, Leclerc, Chris King, Mike Sillinger, Jason LaBarbera, Jim Cummins, Greg Adams, Taylor Pyatt, and Brad May. For the Boston Bruins, we're looking at Johnny Bucyk, Adam Oates, Cam Neely, Ken Hodge Sr., Bobby Carpenter, Ken Linseman, Willie O'Ree, Charlie Simmer, Terry O'Reilly, Rick Middleton, Chuck Kobasu, Don Marcotte, Ray Bourque at 93 overall. We got Brad Park, Rick Smith, Donald Ulrey, Dallas Smith, Stefan Quintal, Jerry Cheevers, Andy Moog, and scratched for the Boston Bruins, we're looking at Wayne Carlton, Randy Burridge, Dean Prentice, Randy Hillier, Ed Westfall, John Carter, Steve Hines, Eddie Johnston, Andrew Alberts, Jean Rattel, and Ken Baumgartner. For the Buffalo Sabres, we have Dale Howardchuk, Pat LaFontaine, and Dave Andrechuk. Rick Vive, Derek Plant, Benoit Hogue. Also, if I say any of these names wrong, I'm sincerely sorry. I'm trying. I don't know everyone. I'm doing the best I can here. Let me know down below how bad of a mistake I made. And again, let me know down below who your favorite player is and if they made it into the game this year. Again, it's the same as last year. They can only use the rights to the players they have. But that's okay. You know, there's some really good big name players in here. We have Brad May in here. We got Michael Pekka. Good to see you. There's some big names and some new names as well. So let me know down below if your favorite player made it in this year. Uwe Krupp, William Hot? I don't know. Doug Podger. We got Gerald Carab. And scratch for the Buffalo Sabres, we have Rob Ray, Robert Sauvé, Mark Napier, Brian Campbell, Wayne Primu, Josh Georges, Grant Fuhr, Don Edwards, and Taylor Pyatt. I didn't look at the goalies here. It's Marty Biron and Dave Dryden. See, it's interesting. They have Marty Biron and Dave Dryden, but they could have just put Grant Fuhr to be the best goalie on the team. I don't know. Calgary Flames up next. We're looking at Gary Roberts, Joe Newendike, a big name coming into the game here in NHL 21, Jerome Iginla, Theo Fleury, Kent Nilsson, Curtis Glencross, Andrew Castles, Dougie Gilmore, Lanny McDonald, Brian McGrattan, Joel Otto, Tim Hunter, Phil Housley, Al McInnes, Cale Hulse, Tommy Albalin, Todd Simpson, Steve Conroy, and scratched. Look, I gotta remember the goalies here. I'm sorry. Mike Vernon and Trevor Kidd, and scratched. Chuck Kobasu, Chris Clark, Colin Patterson, David Jones, Brad McCrimmon, Robin Regier, Rob Ramage, Jim Peplinski, Brian McClellan, Oli Jokinen, and Joe Mullen. Moving on to the Carolina Hurricanes, we've got Robert Cron, Rod Brindamore, Tuomo Rutu, Nelson Emerson, Keith Primo, Darren Langdon, Gary Roberts, Stefan Yell, Scott Walker, Sandy McCarthy, Adam Hall, Stu Grimson, Curtis Leschyshyn, Mike Commodore, Sean Hill, John Michael Lyles, Paul Coffey, Jeff Brown, Sean Burke, Trevor Kidd, Kevin Weeks, and Brian Allen. Next up, the Chicago Blackhawks, one of the original 6 teams. We got Eddie Olczyk, Denny Savard, and Steve Larmer, Steve Thomas, Stan Mikita, and Michael Goulet, Michael Handzus, Jeremy Roenick, and Brent Sutter, Bob Probert, Dougie Gilmore, Eric Daze, Phil Housley, Chris Chelios, Bob Murray, John Marks, Brian Campbell, Keith Brown, Tony Esposito, and Glenn Hall for goalies, with Mark Bell, Cliff Corral, Tuomo Rutu, Jocelyn Lemieux, Brian Marshman, Dwayne Sutter, Phil Russell, Gary Smith, Adrian Aucoin, Keith Carney, and Jim Cummins. For the Colorado Avalanche, we've got Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, and Claude Lemieux. Yeah. You got Podine, Stefan Yell, David Jones, Teemu Solani, Darcy Tucker, May, Peter Worrell, Chuck Kobasu, Dan Hinode, Ray Bork, Rob Blake, Uwe Krupp, Scott Hannon, John Michael Lyles. I don't know how to say your names. Sylvain Lafarve. That's what I got. I don't actually know. I'm sorry. J.S. Jaguar, Tyler Weeman. Where is Patrick Waugh? He's scratched, but he is there. We got Yari Curry, Fedor Tutin, Greg DeVries, Alex Tanguay, Curtis Leschyshyn, and Scott Parker. As for the Columbus Blue Jackets, it's R.J. Umberger, Andrew Castles, Grant Marshall, Chris Clark, Ryan Johansson. All right. Frederick Modine, Jody Shelley, Mike Sillinger, Todd Marchant, Sean Pronger, Mike Pekka, Robert Cron, Fedor Tutin, Cale Hulse, Mike Commodore, Brian Berard, Luke Richardson, Adrian Aucoin, Matthew Guerin, Ty Conklin, and they don't have anyone scratched. As for the Dallas Stars, we're looking at Benoit Hogue, Mike Modano, Yuri Lettinen, Brett Hull, Joe Newendike, Vern Fiddler, Greg Adams, Guy Carbonneau, Russ Courtnall, Jamie Langenbrunner, Jason Arnott, Brent Gilchrist, Craig Ludwig, Brad Lukowicz, Sean Chambers, Sergei Gonchar, Yanni Nienema, Teppo Numanen, Marty Turco, Andy Moog, Derek Plant, Shane Corson, Grant Marshall, Adam Burish, Mike Donnelly, Nicholas Hagman, Jean McClain, Rob DeMeo, Rob DeMeo, and Ed Belfour. Why is Ed Belfour not... I don't know. They just got to play around with the rosters, I guess, but he should be a starter. On to the Detroit Red Wings, my favorite team. We got Ted Lindsay, Steve Yzerman, Gordie Howe, Brett Hull, Alex Delvecchio, Brendan Shanahan, Vladislav Kozlov, love it, Igor Larionov, and Norm Ullman, Darren McCarty, Sid Abel, and Luke Robitaille. On defense, Nicholas Lidstrom, Chris Chelios, Larry Murphy, Paul Coffey, Reed Larson, and Terry Harper. In net, Mike Vernon and Glenn Hall, with Terry Sawchuk, Mark Howe, Brent Gilchrist, Peter Stemkowski, Mike Madonna, Joey Kosher, whatever, Mike Sillinger, John Rognick, Keith Primo, Bob Probert, and Nick Libet. For the Edmonton Oilers, we have Esa Tikkanen, Wayne Gretzky, I've never heard of this guy, Yari Curry, obviously, Yari Curry, Glenn Anderson. You know, I made a joke. I guarantee somebody down below is like, this guy's an idiot. He's never watched hockey before. That's not how you say Gretzky. Mark Messier, Craig Simpson, Dave Lumley, Mike Krushelinski. I didn't say it right. George LaRocque, Kevin McClellan, Tom Marchant, Shane Corson, Paul Coffey, Kevin Lowe, Yanni Nienema, Chris Pronger, Martin McSorley, Charlie Huddy, Grant Fuhrer, Billy Ramford, Marty Reisner, Reijo Ruustalainen, Brian Marchment, Mark Napier, Luke Richardson, Steve Steos, Jason Arnott, Brent Grieve, Curtis Joseph, Ryan Whitney, and Jeff Bukaboom. For Florida, we have Johan Garpenlov, Olli Jokinen, Jody Hall, Scott Mellenby, Mike Sillinger, Gary Roberts, Peter Worrell, Marty Reisner, Igor Larionov, Mikhail Samuelson, Joey Neuendijk, Nicholas Hagman, Brian Campbell, Gord Murphy, Keith Brown, Brian McCabe, Willie Mitchell, Sean Hill, Mark Fitzpatrick, Trevor Kidd, Brian Allen, Sean Burke, Paul Lausch, Brad Boys, Philip Kuba, Scott Gomez, Mike Vernon, Gilbert Dion, Greg Adams, and Eddie Belfour. For the Hartford Whalers Alumni Association, we're looking at Blaine Stoughton, Keith Primo, Jody Hull, Gordie Howe, Ray Ferraro, Robert Cron, Brendan Shanahan, Andrew Castles, Stu Gavin, Nelson Emerson, Greg Malone, Jocelyn Lemieux, Curtis Leshishin, Buddy Roberts, Steve Conroyd, Dave Babich, Chris Pronger, Jeff Brown, Sean Burke, Michael Liu, Randy Cunnyworth, Brian Propp, Pierre LaRouche, Ed Hospotter, Mark Howe, Nick Kiprios, Greg Millen, Darren Turcotte, Bobby Holik, Doug Crossman, and Dan Kexmer? I'm trying. For the LA Kings, we have Luke Robitaille, Wayne Gretzky, Yari Curry, Bernie Nichols, Marcel Dion, Butch Goring, Mike Donnelly, Ray Ferraro, Dave Taylor, Jim Fox, Jimmy Carson, Glenn Murray, Larry Robinson, Rob Blake, Steve Duchesne, Marty McSorley, Willie Mitchell, Larry Murphy, Kelly Rudy, Raji Vacon, Bobby Carpenter, Matthew Garand, Jared Korab, Miko McKella, he doesn't even have a picture, Russ Courtnall, Brian Engblom, Terry Harper, Robin Regier, John Tonelli, Maurice Lukovic, and Rick Chartraw. For the Minnesota Wild, we have Christoph Brandener, Jim Dowd, Owen Nolan, Adam Hall, Chuck Kobasu, David Jones, Jason Pominville, Mikael Granlund, Charlie Coyle, Nino Niederreiter, Jason Zucker, Cal Clutterbuck, sorry, wow. They went all out for the Minnesota Wild, as you can see. I like it, man. I like it. We got Dwayne Rolison. Good to see ya. Zach Bierk. And no one scratched. For the Minnesota North Stars, we're looking at Steve Payne, Mike Modano, Brian Bellows, Danny Grant, Blake Dunlop, Brent Ashton, Dean Prentice, Dennis Mark, Stu Gowan, Mark Napier, Kent Nilsson, Brian Propp, Craig Ludwig, Brad Maxwell, Gordy Roberts, Craig Hartsburg, Dave Langevin, Larry Murphy, Gillies Malosh, Pete Lopresti, Brian Hayward, Gary Smith, Ed Hospiter, Mike Gartner, Paul Harrison, Dennis Hextall, Bobby Smith, Alan McAdam, and Bob Nevin. For the Montreal Canadiens, we're looking at Henry Richard, Jean Beliveau, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Maurice, the Rocket himself, Richard. There he is. We got Bernie Geoffrion, Howie Morenz, Guy Lafleur, Yvonne Cournoyer, Denny Savard, Frank Mahovlich, Steve Shutt, Guy Carbonneau, Pete Mahovlich, Larry Robinson, Chris Chelios, Terry Harper, Rod Langway, Sturge Savard, Sylvain Lulubla, Jacques Plante, Raji Vacon, Guy Lapointe, Elmer Locke, that's a new name, Rajon Houle, Ross Courtnall, Dick Duff, Patrick Waugh, Saku Koivu, Craig Ludwig, Mark Napier, Chris Nillen, and Dennis Huron. For the New York Islanders, we have Clark Gillies, Brian Trottier, Bob Nystrom, Michael Pekka, Pat LaFontaine, Ray Ferraro, Benoit Hogue, John Tonelli, Jorn Henning, Butch Goring, Brent Sutter, Dwayne Sutter, Dennis Potvin, nice, Jean Potvin, Yanni Niedema, Brian Berard, Dang Langevin, Uwe Krupp, Billy Smith, Tommy Soderstrom, Kelly Rudy, Derek King, Ed Westfall, Chico Resch, Mike Sillinger, Ken Baumgartner, Steve Thomas, Rob DeMeo, Pat Flatley, and Gary Howitt. Some of these names, I'm trying, guys, I'm trying. For the New York Rangers, we've got Adam Graves, Mark Messier, and Mike Gartner. Andy Bathgate, Wayne Gretzky, Jean Rattel, Vic Hadfield, Ron Duguay, Rod Gilbert, Joey Kosher, Peter Stamkowski, Esa Tikkanen, Brian Leach, Brad Park, Jeff Bukaboom, Kevin Lowe, Rod Sealing, Harry Howell, Mike Richter, Eddie Giacomin? I don't know. Mark Osborne, Dean Prentice, Nick Kiprios, Reijo Rustalainen, Brendan Shanahan, Chris King, Glenn Healy, Pat Hickey, Anders Hedberg, Lucien Deblois, and Jonna Rognick. For the Nashville Predators, we're looking at Scott Walker, Mike Fisher, Adam Hall, Brian McGrattan, Jason Arnott. I didn't say his name. It's McGrattan. I don't know what I said, but I'm sorry. Olli Jokinen, Stu Grimson, Vern Fiddler, Brent Gilchrist, Mike Sillinger, Peter Forsberg, James Neal, Scott Hannon, Shea Weber, Dale Hulse, Barrett Jackman, Stanislav Nakar, Marek Zidlicki, Chris Mason, and UC Saros. UC Saros! Alright. And no one scratched. For the New Jersey Devils, we've got Brendan Shanahan, Peter Stasny, Jamie Langenbrunner, John McClain, Bobby Holik, Tom Chorsky, Brendan Morrison, Scott Gomez, Danis Zubris. Now, I've actually become friends with his son. Great guy. He signs a couple autographs for me as well. Love Dana Sabres. Claude Lemieux, Jason Arnott, Aaron Broughton, Scott Niedermayer, Marin Zidlicki, Bryce Salvador, Ken Danico, Tommy Albelin, Bruce Driver. So over to the goalies. Hey, look, it's Marty Brodeur. Welcome to NHL 21. Big old Marty Brodeur. You love to see it. We got Chris Terreri, Bobby Carpenter, Tuomo Ruutu, Sean Burke, Alain Chevrier, Phil Roussel, Dave Underchuk, Joe Nieuwendyk, Grant Marshall, Stefan Ricker, Colin Wright, and Chico Resch. I don't know, man. I'm trying. This is a long video. I'm so sorry. I didn't want it to be this long. But you know what? It's fine. Everyone wants to see these players, right? The Ottawa Senators, we've got Tom Chorsky, Mike Fisher, and Jordy Hull, Brian McGrattan, Troy Murray, Magnus Arvidsson, Randy Cunneyworth, Mike Sillinger, Jarkko Ruutu, Nelson Emerson, Laurie Boschman, Dan Quinn, Wade Redden, Chris Phillips, Sammy Salo, Curtis Leschyshyn, Luke Richardson, Stanislav Nakar, Darren Madeley, Mike Condon, Steve Duchesne, Mike Commodore, Sean Hill, Philip Kuba, and Sergei Gonchar. They could have... Look, I'm just saying. They could have had, like, a lot of other goalies. I'm sure... Whatever. For the Philadelphia Flyers, look at that. Jean Leclerc, Eric Lindros. Nice. And Rod Brindamore, Mark Recchi, Bobby Clark, Billy Barber, Michael Handzus, Keith Primo, Jeremy Roenick, Paul Holmgren, Danny Briere, R.J. Umberger, Joe Watson, Gord Murphy, Doug Crossman, Mark Howe, Chris Pronger, Luke Richardson, Ronnie Hextall, Marty Baron, Brian Propp, Dave Schultz, Sean Podine, Reggie Leach, Dana Zubris. Would it just be Kel Samuelson or Jell Samuelson? I'm not sure if the J or the K would be silent, but Jell Samuelson. Cool. Rich Sutter, Bernie Parent, Terry Crisp, Mike Sillinger, and Kevin Haller. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, big name coming up. Ruslan Fedotenko, Mario Lemieux, Joe Mullen, Tyler Kennedy, Brian Trottier, Ross Lonsberry, Pierre LaRouche, Dan Quinn, Randy Cunneyworth, George Larocque, Greg Malone, Matthew Barnaby, Sergei Gonchar, Larry Murphy, Doug Bodger, Ryan Whitney, we got Paul Coffey, Yuri Slager, Julius Malosh, Dennis Heron, Johan Hedberg, Dave Schultz, Mark Recchi, Peter Taglianetti. Alright. Jarkko Ruutu, Randy Hillier, Greg Millen, Marty McSorley, Wayne Primo, Pete Mahovlich, and Craig Simpson. Just very important to note, no Jaromir Jagr in the Pittsburgh Penguins alumni. Moving on to the Quebec Nordics. Michael Goulet, Peter Stastny, Guy Lafleur, Owen Nolan, Joe Sakic, Wendell Clark, Brent Ashton, Matt Sundin, Tim Hunter, Greg Malone, Peter Forsberg, Aaron Broughton, Tommy Albelin, Mario Maroy, I'm not sure, Randall Moeller, Sylvian Leschyshyn, Brad Maxwell. I truly don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. Dan Bouchard with Ronnie Hextall. We got Steve Duchesne, Jeff Brown, Uwe Krupp, John Garrett, and Garth Butcher. For the San Jose Sharks, we've got Igor Larionov, Mark Bell, and Owen Nolan, Timo Solani, Bernie Nichols, and Stefan Matteau, Adam Graves, Jeremy Roenick, and Tyler Kennedy, Adam Burish, Michael Handzus, and Johan Garpenlov. Scott Hannon, Rod Blake, Doug Bodger, Brian Marchment, Douglas Murray, Getting Novakov, Kelly Rudy, and a lot of people. We got Scott Parker, Nils Ekman, Vesa Toskala, good to see you, Jody Shelley, Al Iafredi, Scott Gomez, Marty McSorley, Wayne Primo, Brian Campbell, Mike Vernon, and Tim Hunter. For the St. Louis Blues, we have Keith Tkachuk, Bernie Federko, Brett Hull, Jamal Myers, Gary Unger, Brendan Shanahan, Red Berenson, okay, Doug Gilmore, Brad Boys, Blake Dunlop, Wayne Gretzky, Joe Mullen, Barrett Jackman, Al McInnes, Carlo Koliakovo, Chris Pronger, Bryce Salvador, Rob Ramage, Curtis Joseph, Michael Liu, Steve Duchesne, Glenn Hall, Chuck Lefley, Dan Hinote, I didn't say that right, Pat Hickey, Robert McMillan, Greg Millen, Rich Sutter, Garth Butcher, Mike Sillinger, and Terry Crisp. Tampa Bay Lightning, what do we got? Dave Onderchuk, Tim Taylor, and Martin St. Louis. Adam Hall, Denny Savard, and Ruslan Fedotenko. Dmitry Afanasenkov. Brian Bellows, Stefan Rischer, Mike Sillinger, Frederick Modine, Philip Kuba, Sammy Salo, Rob Ramage, Corey Cross, Doug Crossman, Dan Girardi. That's an interesting one to put in there. That is a very interesting one to put in there. For goalies, we're looking at Corey Schwab and Dwayne Rollison. Corey Schwab. What? I have not heard that name in so long. Matthew Guerin, Stanislav Nekar, Darcy Tucker, Mike Johnson, Sean Burke, Wendell Clark, Luke Richardson, Adrian O'Coin, Gary Roberts, Matthew Barnaby, and Jody Hull. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, who do we got? I see Sid Smith without a picture, Matt Sundin, and Charlie Conacher. Dave Keon, Daryl Sittler, and Frank Mahovlich. Wendell Clark, Doug Gilmore, and Dick Duff. Mike Gartner, Gary Roberts, and Dave Onderchuk. Al Iafredi, Tim Horton, Larry Murphy. Borje? Salming, Brian McCabe, and Dave Ellett. We have Walter Broda and Curtis Joseph, Mark Osborne, Ross Courtnall, Ron Ellis, Glenn Healy, Nick Antropov, Darcy Tucker, Norm Ullman, Landon McDonald, Peter Stamkowski, Earl Thomas, and Ken Baumgartner. For the Vancouver Canucks, let's have some fun, shall we? We've got Daniel Sedin, Henrik Sedin, and Trevor Linden. The Sedin twins added in the NHL 21. We've got Marcus Naslund, Brendan Morrison, and Todd Bertuzzi. Todd Bertuzzi on the Canucks, but not the Red Wings, where he could have been on the Red Wings. Todd Bertuzzi in the game. Taylor Pyatt, Igor Larionov, and Gary Volk. Gino Odjick. I don't know you. Tony Tanti, Scott Walker, Harold Sneps. I don't know you. Wow. Some new names in here. Dave Babich, Sammy Salo, Yurki Lumi, Willie Mitchell, Adrian O'Coin, Kirk McLean, Richard Brodeur, Dan Quinn, Brian Allen, Yarko Rutu, Sergio Momesso, Andrew Alberts, Gary Smith, Tim Hunter, Rich Sutter, Mason Raymond, Brad May, and Garth Butcher. On to the Washington Capitals. Who do we got? We've got Randy Burridge, Adam Oates, Mike Gartner, Chris Clark, Dennis Maruk, Danis Zubris, Craig Laughlin? I don't know. Michael Pivonka, Bob Kelly, Mike Knuble, Bobby Carpenter, Brian Bellows, Rog Langway, Larry Murphy, Sergei Gonchar, Al Iafredi, Brian Engblom, Dmitry Mironov, Ron Lowe, Michael Liu, Nick Kiprios, and Bill Ramford. And guys, last but not least, the Winnipeg Jets alumni. We're looking at Keith Tkachuk, Thomas Steen, and Teemu Selanne. Paul McLean, Dale Howardchuk, Laurie Boschman, Chris King, Eddie Olczyk, Nick Emerson, Ty Domi, Troy Murray, Brent Ashton, Phil Housley, Teppo Numanen, Mario Maroy, I always say his name wrong, Dave Babish, Serge Savard, Stefan Quintal, Brian Hayward, Douglas Soutart, I don't know you at all. Wow, that's someone I've never heard of. That's awesome. Nick Antropov, Morris Lukowicz, Dave Ellett, Olli Jokinen, Steve Rooney? No picture on him. Chris Thorburn, Kyle Wellwood, Brian Mullen, and Fredrik Olofsson. Those are all your NHL 21 alumni teams. I'm going to go take a break. It's been over half an hour. You guys have a great night. Thanks for watching. Again, let me know down below if your favorite player made it in. And what do you think of the overalls for all these guys? Personally, they're okay. I think Yzerman should be higher, but I'm very biased. Very nice to see players like Marty Brodeur and the Sedin twins. There's some other big names that have been added in as well, and I think it's super cool. But guys, let me know down below what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.